Jimmy, what's up, man?
Uriah, what's up, brother?
Good to see you.
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good, man.
How's your
Doing
fourth?
good. It was great. Went to Palmer Lake, checked out the fireworks. That's a dope spot for
Wow.
sure. Like surrounded by mountains, the trains running through, like next to the lake, and
That's pretty, man.
dude. And the fireworks show was awesome.
Was it?
Yeah, it was cool.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, how was your fourth?
Quiet, just kind of chilled at home and,
Yeah.
because I have all the, we're neighbors.
Yeah,
And so, all the fireworks in the background.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
hear that. And so it was, yeah. So I just looked out from my back porch and looked at them and they were pretty cool.
yeah, that's awesome, dude. Well, yeah, we had a good fourth. Family's been good. Got some stuff planned this week, and
What are you doing?
we're gonna go hit up the Great Wolf Lodge, hang out.
So I got a story for you.
Yeah,
So we took my kids
yeah,
to Great Wolf Lodge, and I think my son was probably 7 or so,
Yeah.
and my daughter was probably 4.5, 5, and they have the 2 bunk beds, right?
yeah.
My son fell off the bunk bed,
Oh no.
hit himself, and I was freaking out because when I was a kid, I fell off the bunk bed and knocked off my front tooth. Yeah, I mean clear out. Yeah.
Dang.
So but anyway, so there and man, he was just a trooper.
Yeah,
They gave him a little ibuprofen. He's
Yeah.
freaking out back in the swimming pool, ready to roll.
that's awesome, man. Yeah, yeah. Kids are resilient in that for
Yeah,
sure.
They are. They're fun.
Yeah, yeah. So what are we gonna talk about today?
Okay, so
what do
I
you got on
watched
your
this
agenda?
show last night on Netflix
Yeah.
called Resurface.
Okay.
Excuse me. And this is the second time I've watched it. And whenever you watch a documentary the second time, you kind of get more
Yeah,
insight.
yeah,
And so what this is um, about this guy that was a surfer, and he's like 45 now. So back in his 20s and stuff, he got an addiction.
mm-hmm.
He got and he got healed. And what he found out is surfing was really his peace, right? So what they're doing now is they're bringing in veterans from Afghanistan, from Iraq. There's even a guy from Vietnam in there. And some of these guys are missing limbs. There's one guy that's missing both his legs from probably the thigh down,
Mm-hmm.
has only one arm, another arm has a little prosthetic, and this guy surfs. Yeah, it's freaking incredible.
Dang.
And the reason why I bring up this story is that they all deal with trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we think of trauma, that's what we think of, right?
Yeah.
We think of veterans because they probably had I shouldn't say the most severe trauma because people in life that has stuff happen to them, it's severe also, but that's what we're seeing most of,
Yeah.
right? And I just started thinking about trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's so many different, I think people think trauma is just something that is so catastrophic
Mm-hmm.
that's why they have trauma.
Yeah.
But trauma can be from anything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, kids have trauma when they're growing up.
Yeah.
And people that have stuff happen to them, and we may not think it's serious, right? But to them, it's traumatic.
Yeah. I mean, I think about dogs, right? And fireworks.
Yeah,
The 4th
exactly.
just happening and dogs freaking out. And anytime they hear a boom or something like that, they're like scattered and freaking out.
See, that's the best example right there.
Yeah.
Because it's the same firework, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it affects dogs differently.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I brought it up is because, like, what happened to me, I just kind of shut down and I isolated after the scam, right?
Yeah.
And what I found out is that was a sign of trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, if I can get trauma from being scammed, what about everybody else out there? And it doesn't have to be being scammed. It can be anything that alters your life, that alters your psyche.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I guess the way I look at it is if you're thinking about it all the time, right? You're not only thinking about in the present, you're thinking about how it's going to affect you in the future. And you're also thinking about how your past may have influenced it.
Yeah. It's like it becomes all consuming.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what happens when people become all consumed with something?
Yeah.
That's all their focus, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They're not making decisions from their best interest. They're not, living the life and life to the full,
Right.
So
Because you basically shut down.
mm-hmm.
And I think what they talked about, the big T of trauma and the little T of trauma, I think we're all aware with the big T.
Mm-hmm.
but we all might not be worth a little tea.
Yeah.
And that's some of the stuff that people, you can't tell, right? Because when I was going through my stuff, when I went out that door, I was Jimmy,
Yeah.
right? Put the mask on. This is who I am, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah. I get home and isolate.
Mhm.
And so it's one of those things where I looked at it and I'm thinking, wow, this is big, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, unless it's that huge catastrophic trauma, people downplay it.
Yeah. Well, for sure. Well, and I think for just in my own life, right? Like some of this small trauma compounding over, years and years,
Yes,
if you don't deal with it, it does manifest,
it
right?
does.
And
It
like,
grows.
and for me in my life, I didn't even know how much trauma I had experienced. Uh, there was a period of time where I moved 29 times in 9 years.
Well,
And
did you
that,
just have one suitcase and you were good to go? I mean, how
no,
the hell do you move
yeah,
29 times
yeah.
in 9
That's a
years?
good question. That's a good question. So I was actually a missionary for a little while in South Africa and Nepal. Did some missionary work in Guatemala. Kind of traveled, all over, but also bouncing between Texas, Oklahoma, where I'm from, Kansas, where my ex-wife was from, and Colorado here.
Yeah,
And so a lot of moving. And so what I didn't know is that each move is a small traumatic
it
experience.
is. It is.
Like we don't recognize it because we're just doing whatever the next thing is, but you're totally like uprooting your life and it's changing your entire life
Well, basically, you started over 29 times,
29 times and
and that's
and
hard,
no real support system either, right?
right?
Because you're leaving so quick. You get there and then 6 months later you're leaving, like absolutely insane. Can't really build relationships, can't really. And so all of that manifested itself, later when I did experience some success and I did, climb a ladder and got to the top, realized nobody was there. And then that's when I was isolated, right? And stuff just started happening. And when I got help, I shared this story, and he's like, bro, you've been through all of that and all these deaths and this, that, the other, and you haven't processed through any of it.
So let's go back
Yeah.
to the very beginning of your story. You moved, you moved, you moved. I got success,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What wasn't handled in all that? All this up front, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you put, because of your success, you put in your back pocket,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm moving, baby. I'm going to the top.
Exactly,
You know,
exactly. Because I mean, I feel like that's kind of like a automatic built-in default in us is to suppress.
you know why that is?
What?
Because we're afraid to talk about it.
Mm, mm, yeah.
Especially like when you get to my age group, which is a little older.
What?
Yeah, I know, right? I take such good care of myself. But the thing is that you don't express that. And you know what? Even depending on your household, there's 20-year-olds and 25-year-olds that are dealing with stuff and they can't express it.
Right.
So one of the coolest commercials I see it drives me crazy. But one of the best commercials I've seen is when they talk about your friends, right? Keep track of your friends,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because when a lot of times people think, oh, they're just kind of going through something, right?
Mhm.
If they tend to isolate or not themselves. And
Mhm.
and sometimes you just have to sit them down and say, like, what the hell? Tell
Yeah.
me what's going on. No
Yeah.
judgment here.
Yeah.
I just want to help you. Right.
Yeah.
And so when I was isolating, my kids saw it. My ex-wife saw it.
Mhm.
Everybody saw it, but I wouldn't let anybody in
Mhm.
because when it's a pride thing
Mhm.
and it's an embarrassment thing.
Mhm.
And I wish I would have let them in a lot earlier.
Yeah.
And finally, when I got to talk to a therapist, is when she looked at me. She goes, "Jimmy, you've had trauma." I said, "Okay, I got scammed. I
Yeah.
didn't lose a leg." She goes, "No,
Right.
see, that's the part you don't understand, Jimmy,
Right.
is that it's up here and that
Mhm.
it affected you where it changed your life."
Right.
So
Yeah, yeah, and I think that pride, that also fear of like embarrassment, right? Like we
Right,
don't want people to know our excuse my French, but shit.
right,
We don't want people to know our shit stinks. We want to be, on that highlight reel that we talked about on social media before on the last podcast. And if you didn't listen, you need to check it out. But this whole idea of, we got to have a perfect life, picture perfect.
right.
Like it's got to, and that's just
Well,
not
but that's
real.
that's what society portrays now, right?
Uh,
Society doesn't. You don't see a whole lot of stuff on TikTok and Facebook where they're with a therapist and saying, "Man, my life just sucks right now."
mhm,
And that's part of life. Life is going to suck. Like with my dad,
mm,
dad in Arizona, who I went to go help.
mm,
He tore a labrum, and he's 85.
mhm,
3-sport letterman in college, played golf all the time, coach, all the stuff, all that stuff, and he's fighting just to stay up in bed, you
mhm,
know. And and the reason I bring this up is because he doesn't like to talk about it.
mhm,
He doesn't like to talk about his pain. He
mhm,
doesn't like to talk about what might happen in the future, right?
mhm,
He's just going to keep everything bottled up. And
mhm,
I even asked my mom, I said, man, does he need to talk to somebody? Because if that was me,
mhm,
you know, I think I would. And she goes, we've asked, but he doesn't want to. And that, again, here's the age thing,
mhm.
right? It's not possible. But you're right, though. What we see in front of Facebook and Messenger and all this stuff, it's only the highlights.
Right. And it's just not real. Like I said, it's not real life. I mean, we're gonna experience trauma. We're gonna experience, I'm a faith believer, right?
We do.
Like my foundation is around Christianity and the Bible and Jesus and some of the words spoken in the New Testament in James, it's a promise. It's a guarantee. You're going to experience some tough times.
Because you have free will.
Yeah, you're well, and not even just free will, but just the way the world is,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like there's sometimes it's not even necessarily fully our fault, but we
Right.
experience some crap and we're the victim in it.
Right.
And we have to figure out how we're going to move past that. And I think that's where we get hung up is we get into this mindset of how do I push forward? I don't know how to push forward, and I don't want to talk to somebody or ask for help because I don't want to be a burden to somebody else. I don't want to, look bad or whatever it is, and then we end up just doing nothing.
See, a lot of that is shame. We talked about shame, I think,
Hmm.
last podcast,
Yeah.
right? Shame is probably the most harmful of all the feelings in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's worse than anger
Mm-hmm.
because shame stays with you all the time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Shame just shuts you down.
Mm-hmm.
Shame doesn't let you open up,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And it's just that mindset that we can't look weak. Like we
Mm-hmm.
talked about, the vacation, people on vacation, they always show all their pictures.
Mm-hmm.
My sister says, let's see beyond the pictures. When
Mm-hmm.
kids are crying and mom and dad are mad at each other.
Yes, that's so good, dude. That's so good. I want to see the real life. Where's
Yeah,
the real life?
exactly. And that's kind of and that's why I think why I wanted to talk about trauma is because people may have it and not know it.
Yeah.
And it's nothing to be ashamed of,
Yeah.
right? We go through it. And believe me, I am the most, when it comes to this stuff, I would have kept it to myself for as long as I could
Mm-hmm.
because I was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
I didn't want to talk to anybody about it. And sometimes I still kind of dodge it,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Sure.
But it's just one of those things where I think it's a topic, especially like I broke down, the ages of people using mental health,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you have your adolescents, then you have your teenagers, then you have up to 30. And all those are pretty like 20%, 25%,
Mm-hmm.
because one is knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
right? Two are resources.
Mm-hmm.
People are taking mental health a lot serious,
Mm-hmm.
But then you go to 30 to 60%, I mean, 30 to 60-year-olds, and it drops.
Mm-hmm.
And they say some of that is because people, as you get older, you can handle more stressful
Right.
situations.
Right.
But a lot of time it's isolation.
Yep.
A lot of time it's, they don't feel comfortable talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think even though we're talking about trauma, we're talking about for all ages.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you have kids, and I didn't really deal with trauma that I knew of when I was raising up my kids, but I'm sure I missed some things
Mm-hmm.
because you put it great. It says you have a little trauma, you don't say anything, it grows and it grows, it grows.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a parent, sometimes you gotta see that little red flag and you got to
Mm-hmm.
dig.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
may be uncomfortable, but they got to dig because as a kid, you know that it's killing you inside.
Yeah. I think about the topic of like doing the work,
Yes,
right? And so with that, with the trauma, and the mental health, it is up to us to actually do the work. And if we don't do the work, it will end negatively for us. It will, show up maybe in our lives in different areas that we didn't expect it to. It may we may pass it down onto our kids.
right,
We may affect the people around us in a negative way and not even know it.
exactly.
And so, like, that's the importance of doing the work and getting the help necessary to see a different perspective, right?
Hmm.
Like, all we know is our perspective and our thoughts, and if we're already all consumed already by the shame, by the fear, by the doubt, by the unknowing, right,
Right.
then we're going to stay in that spot. But if we do the work and seek out the help that we need and they bring perspective, we're able to move forward and move past that, because it's like literally we're stuck in a hole and somebody reaches down their hand and is like, "Hey, let me help you out
No,
of
we're
that
stuck in
hole."
the hole. We're still digging,
Yeah. Facts.
right? And
Facts.
so I'm glad you brought up do the work because I've been seeing a therapist for a while. I'm not afraid to admit it. And I had a situation come up last week, and when I talked to her yesterday, what we realized is that I wasn't doing the work.
Mm,
I was doing the process,
mm.
but I wasn't doing the work.
Oh, dude.
You
Bro,
talk
be
about an eye
careful.
opener, yeah, and I thought I was doing the work. And so, so when I was interviewing a therapist,
Yeah.
my criteria was, are you going to call me on my shit?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, because we need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what she did?
Huh.
She called me on my shit
Yeah,
yesterday.
good. Good. Well, and like you said, right? Like, it's tricky because we can just turn it into a task list,
Right.
right? And just,
Check the box. I talked about this. Check the
yep.
box. Talked about that. Check the box.
And if we're not actually being introspective and getting to the root of the fear, the root of the shame, the root of the guilt, the root of whatever the negative
Or the
emotion
root of
is.
why you did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
that's one of the main things that when you start digging deep,
Mm-hmm.
it's usually something that happened earlier in your life,
Mm-hmm.
right? Do you ever watch the show Intervention? So it's about drug addicts and
Okay.
alcoholics and stuff like that.
Okay.
And it talks about the process of them being on the streets or drinking or just their lives are just a freaking train wreck
Mm-hmm.
to going to rehab and hopefully getting out of rehab winning. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
part I like about it. I love the
Mm-hmm.
winning part. But when you look at they always go back to something that happened to somebody in their younger years
Mm-hmm.
that triggered this.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been they were beat, they were left alone, whatever it could be.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something that triggered that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we get as we get older,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we have to go back and start digging.
Facts.
Yeah.
Big
And it's
facts.
not like, oh, it's my mom's fault. It's my dad's fault.
Right.
It's not even about that. And that's what some people think is that, well, if I go to the therapy and I start digging deep and, I'm going to embarrass my parents and blah, blah. I
Mm-hmm.
said, no, that's between you and your therapist.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But if he can find out some things that maybe triggered some things when you're growing up that will help you heal,
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely.
And your parents, and you're a parent,
Mm-hmm.
you're only given the tools that you were taught,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And your parents were only given the tools that they were taught.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about the spectrum of things, the tools don't change much,
Right.
right? And so I'm thinking, okay, what have I done to my kids
Mm-hmm.
as a parent? And not intentionally,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I asked him, I said, okay, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
There's some things that and I tell him, I said, I was not the perfect dad,
Right.
believe it or not. I wasn't. And and I made mistakes, but I don't want my mistakes to hamper you
Right.
like when I was growing up.
Right.
So
Yeah. Don't pick that up and wear it. Like,
exactly. Just put
yeah,
it to the side. It's
exactly.
not yours to wear.
And I think a lot of that, like to the point that you were making of the tools, right? And
Mhm.
how, they don't really change. They're pretty much in this box, and that's what we got to work with. But I challenge that in the sense of, what are we doing to continue to live in a growth mindset? Like, what are we missing? What have we not learned? What have we not explored in the sense of self betterment, but also betterment for everybody else around us too? Like, how do our actions and what we think and how we act impact the world around us and ourselves and how we live? And there's mindset coaches out there all over the
Right.
place, and they'll talk about this, and they'll talk about living from a place of, like, we all have goals and vision boards, right? Living from a place as if that was already done, right?
Right.
The same thing when it comes to healing and doing the work and stuff like that. It's really easy to, once you start to do the work, to just jump right back into shame.
Oh, absolutely.
And
One slip up.
because it reminds us
Right.
over and over again, because we're having to stare it in the face and deal with it and fight it and get through it. And so one of the things is just to give yourself grace, give yourself love, and do what you need to do to stay in a place where you can continue to grow through it, not just go through it. Right.
Right. And I think people say, oh, I love myself. You know when you find out if you love yourself?
Mm.
When something major screws up
Mhm.
and you can forgive yourself.
Mhm.
When things are good, everybody loves themselves, right?
Right.
But it's when the shit hits the fan.
Mhm.
Sorry for the French. That's when you find out who you are,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you may not handle it good at the beginning.
Right.
You may totally blow it up even worse.
Yeah.
But that's when you get up.
Right.
And that's when you find help.
Mhm.
Because if you're doing it by yourself and you couldn't do it, that means you need help.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And
You're good.
we talked about being a parent, right?
Mhm.
And I think sometimes life gets in the way.
Mhm.
You work, you're raising kids, kids are doing sports, blah, blah, blah.
In the grind.
In the grind every
Yeah.
day. Your head's down, you're plowing through. You don't just pop up and I'm not speaking everybody, or
Right.
in general terms.
Right.
I think sometimes we just need to pop our head up,
Mhm.
take a breath,
Yeah.
look around, and talk to our kids.
Oh, dude. Yes.
But it's hard because, especially like in my job I had before I came to Colorado, I traveled all the time,
Mhm.
right? I mean, some like 8 weeks in a row, I would leave on Monday, back on Friday, do my laundry, I'm back on the road.
Yeah.
So it's, all I
It's
did was
about impossible to pop your head
yeah,
up because
all
you're
I
in
did
it.
was screw up the household then on the weekends. But yeah, I think sometimes that's what we got to do is say that I'm not the perfect parent.
Mm.
And if I think that if that's my goal to be the perfect parent, I will never succeed
Right.
because it's impossible.
Right.
So I think it's good because I think as adults, and you're a lot younger than I am,
Mm.
but you had an earlier introduction to mental health than I did
Mhm.
because I had no need for mental health people. And I'll jump into that. We'll talk about Morgan stuff here in a minute.
Yeah.
is that you think that, okay, here's my therapist they gave me.
Right.
I'm going to work with this
Right.
therapist. You know what? If you don't like that therapist, fire them.
Yeah. Get a different one.
Get a different one.
There's a bunch of therapists.
Yeah,
out
and
there.
they're not going to get insulted.
No.
Because a therapist has to work with you on your level.
You got to find your person.
Right.
Right. You got to, because each person deals with things in a different manner, like the guy that I go to see for my personal counseling all the time, he loves fly fishing. So we're able to bond over that.
Right.
We're able to talk in perspective of fly fishing.
Right.
And I
that
get
kind
it.
Of your...
And because I love fly fishing. Right. And to your point of like, popping your head up. Like one of the first things that you should always do whenever you go fishing and fishing a river or something like that, before you even drop a line, is to look.
Just look for your spot, right?
Yeah, look where the fish are, where they're popping up, where are the float lines, the bubbles, the oxygen lines. Where could the fish be? And like evaluate before you get into it. And you get into it and then you realize you're just in it and you're like, why aren't they biting? Well, back up. Like, see where everything's at.
Maybe we have to move spots.
Dude, and that alone, when we talked about that in my counseling, I was like, I applied it to parenting. I applied it to, business.
Right.
I applied it to everything. What am I not seeing?
Yeah.
What am I not? Let me step back. Let me pause, step back and actually like see what's actually going on.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah,
great.
you just take a second. Because we do that at work too, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got a problem thinking, okay, what's going on here? Oh, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's in life too. And the scary thing about our mental health situation in this country is there's not enough of it.
Mm-hmm.
We're the richest country in the world.
Mm-hmm.
We have the highest problems with mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So what that tells you is that money and riches,
it's not everything.
So one quick note, and then we'll go to halftime.
Yeah.
Is that, and this was when I was in college, so I'm sure the number has changed, is that as long as people's basic needs are met, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where the most happiness is.
Mm-hmm.
Anything over that, the percentage of happiness grows smaller because you really have what you need. Mm-hmm. Really, you have a bunch that could just cause more problems, right?
You're telling me, man.
And I'm not saying don't go after it.
Right.
I'm just saying though, as you're going after it, just kind of keep grounded and keep everything in perspective with you and your family and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's okay. Halftime mortgage report.
All right. Mortgage report. What's going on?
There's not much to report. I built it up, but we're still finding some of the stuff we've talked about on the last one. The rate's about 6.875 average across the United States for a conventional. Inflation is still up there. Mm-hmm. And now we have the tariff talks again. Mm-hmm. And so we're still fighting the same demons we've been fighting before. And I'm hoping, I love my new first-time home buyers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I hope they're not getting discouraged.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just hope they take this as like a pause.
Yeah.
If they can't qualify yet.
Yeah.
Or they don't have the down payment, whatever. I hope somebody has a plan for them, right, to get them to where they want to be. Yeah. And it may take a year. Yeah. Right. And that's fine. Yeah. You just sign your apartment lease for another year and save more money and hopefully the rate will be down and it means you have less down payment. So it's steady though. I mean, I think it's been a pretty steady summer, which is good. Yeah. But it's still pretty much the same. Yeah.
That's good.
Let me see.
And I can cut through too. I'll clean it all up.
Okay, so back to the mental health and the avoidance. Because I think that's one of the main coping. And with avoidance, there's also a lot of self-medication involved, I believe. And I think if you, and when you're avoiding, because I did. And I think if you are avoiding, then you need to reach out for help, because nobody's going to walk through the door and say, "Hey, Jimmy, haven't seen you around." You know, you need to actually take that first step, and it's a hard step, right? But hopefully everybody has that one person. May not be a family member, could be a friend, could be a colleague, you know, and take that one step and say, "I need help," you know.
Yeah.
And what they're going to do is just say, "Okay, we're going to call somebody, we're going to get you lined up. Don't worry." And when you tell, like, my sister's like my rock, she always has been, and she found about all this stuff, and she goes, "Don't worry, we'll take care of it. You just got to do the work," you know. And so when we're in that situation where you're avoiding, or if you know somebody's they're avoiding, because you can tell.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
My kids knew it. My sister knew it. Everybody knew it because
No eye contact,
Yeah, well,
I need to stay busy all the time.
Sometimes you're not even busy.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just sitting on your ass.
Right.
Right? Because you're frozen.
Yeah. Well, and there's so many things that we involve in our life that don't help us either. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like for instance, the thing that feeds our mental is our gut. Bro, what the flip are we eating?
Yeah.
Are we just eating crap all the time, or are we actually putting nutrients in our body that our body actually needs, and that our mind can actually function from an executive functioning position? Or are we feeding it, McDonald's, and Burger King, and like expecting us to be able to function well? It's just not possible.
So I'm going to take you through my avoidance.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think it's common for a lot of people, men and women. First thing I did was I stopped writing. Huge red flag. My kids asked me, "Why aren't you writing?" "I'm tired." "Oh, I pulled a muscle." Make a bunch of lies.
Yeah.
Started drinking more. When you do that, dinners become crap. Dinners become chips, cheese and crackers. Every once in a while you make a good meal, right? But I guess the reason I share my stuff so much is in case somebody sees it going on somewhere else.
Right.
When you see somebody and they're losing interest in stuff, and let's say pickleball, for instance, they stop playing pickleball and they're not hurt, and you don't talk to them as much, those are all your red flags. And you know what? Don't be afraid to say, "Hey, what's going on?" Because my buddy in New Mexico, Ben, who I work for, when I was going through my stuff, he goes, "What's going on? Your boys want to know because you don't talk to anybody anymore." "I'm fine." He goes, "No, you're not. Just spill your guts," And I did. And I felt a lot better. But even then, even my friends from the 7th grade on up that I've known for, 50 some years, they were afraid to approach me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because, it's none of our business.
Well, and generationally speaking,
Yes.
right? Like back to that point that you made earlier, older generations, that's taboo.
Right.
You don't mess with somebody's stuff because that might jump on you and it might affect you in some
You might have to open up.
Yeah, it's going to affect you in some situation or circumstance, and then you're screwed. Or like I want to keep my skeletons in the closet. I don't want to share them, and if they ask me, I'm going to have to share them because they just shared with me, And it's like that's not it.
Well, here's the crazy thing too. Even like 25 to 35, right? They know about mental health,
right?
But they face the same things as a 65-year-old does. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing.
Right.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
So that shame and that avoidance and all that stuff, it's not meant just for us old people.
Right.
It's for everybody. And so even as a parent, as a friend, as a colleague, if you see something change, you don't have to come and say, "Okay, what's wrong with you?" It's say, "Man, I noticed something's different." You know, how you feeling?
Yeah. Well, and I talk to people all the time in the coaching space, right? That are like, "Oh, I want to change the world in this way. I want to change people's lives in this way." Dude, if we just did the basics of truly making eye contact and saying, dude, how are you? Where are you at? How is life? You know, what are your rhythms in life like right now?
Yeah.
You know, just simple conversation. Dude, you could totally change the world around you for sure if you just implemented that as a daily practice, because that's the issue is so many people don't feel seen, right?
Right.
They
Right.
don't feel heard. And even if they want to share, right? They don't want to go and talk to their buddy about it because, you know, they feel like they're not going to be seen. That
See, I don't want to change the world.
right.
I just want to change. I don't want to change the person in front of me or this podcast or anything like that. I just want to share.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I just like you said, communication, because this is a loud world.
Yeah. For sure.
You know, even when you get home,
Mm-hmm.
you got kids running around, crap's going on. It's a loud world.
Mm-hmm.
So what some like I do is I get up in the morning, have a cup of coffee with nothing on, just cup of coffee and just kind of chilling,
Mm-hmm.
right? And some people will come home and have a glass of wine and just chill, which is awesome. That's fine too.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just need that moment to yourself to kind of reflect and say, and not beat yourself up, you know?
Just slow down.
Just slow down and think,
Slow
okay,
down.
this was work. Yeah, we had a hard time. This happened, but that's okay. Tomorrow I have another day,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You always have another day to fix what happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or you hope you right.
Well, and you don't know what's gonna happen that next day either.
Right. And I think that if we just all slow down a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's hard in this world. I mean, work's demanding, right?
Yeah.
Because business world is one of the worst.
Dude, look at the advancements in all technology and all of this, and you know, people all the time, you know, money favors speed. You know, live fast. It was written on shirts for so many years, and like this is what's been promoted in front of us for so long that we've got to get to success fast so that we can retire and have the vacation home in Hawaii and kick our feet up.
Make as much money as you can. And you know, so much in the workplace is dictated by your boss.
Yeah.
If your boss is all about mental health and understands that your person's mental health is going to be much more profitable for you than somebody that's struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Like my daughter, her boss is awesome. All about mental health.
Mm-hmm.
You know, doesn't like her workers to work overtime, you know, and she gives the best hugs.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you know she's a great mental health person. great hugs. But that's the type of people we need in power.
Yeah.
We don't need the ball busters.
Mm-hmm.
Not this day and age, because you know what? The younger generations aren't putting up with it.
Yeah.
See, in my world, you stayed there.
Yeah.
And you took all the beatings unless you got another offer with a much bigger paycheck.
Right.
You know? But this other generation, they're like,
yeah,
I don't need this.
Right.
You know, what's important to them is change. You know, and I say that in general terms. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
always right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just this. I guess with my dad and watching that show last night and what I've been through, I want to talk about things that are uncomfortable to talk about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And people can listen and they could sneak off and get their therapist and nobody would ever know.
Right.
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 But they got themselves some
Right.
help.
Right. It's not about the glory.
No.
It's not about getting the major recognition or anything like that. Like it's simply like, am I choosing to live a life that's going to better everything around me?
Right.
Or am I going to live a life that's, you know, trying to make me the center of attention, or, you know, trying to be the best, or, you know, do things the fastest, or, you know, whatever. And I think to your point, like slowing down is a lost art.
The first step always in anything anybody does is, how's your mental health?
Mm-hmm.
We ignore that.
Mm-hmm.
I ignored that for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I paid the price for that. That has led up to all this other crap.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I want people to do.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to check themselves and say, man, am I happy? Yeah. And I don't mean, you know, Pollyanna happy. Yeah. I mean, Am I happy with myself? Am I happy where I am in life? Am I
Mm-hmm.
happy with what's going on?
Yeah.
Because there's gonna be up and downs.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're happy and you don't have something dragging you down,
Mm-hmm.
like trauma or
Mm-hmm.
depression or
Right.
whatever, let's get it fixed,
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks. It sucks because you have to go and you try multiple drugs, whatever. It's a process.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get to the other side,
Mm-hmm.
you won't look back
Right.
because you don't want to be in that dark hole
Right.
again.
Right. Well, and then too, you're stronger. You're stronger because of it, and you've been there. And so, what does that look like in relating to others and helping others? Then, which I believe everybody in their heart, deep down, that's what they want to do. They want to help people.
They do.
They want to help people in finding mortgages. They want to help people in social media. They want to help people in the business realm. They want to help people move across the country. They want to help people,
Yeah, we are service animals, so to
Yeah.
speak,
Yeah.
and it's not always about the money,
Right.
right? Because you get a better feeling when you donate
Yeah.
than when you get a big check,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And one thing that I think what people need to understand too is that people who have or are going through mental health issues, they think they're weak,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're
Yeah.
shameful,
Yeah.
the depression, whatever. But you know what? To get out of bed every day
Mm-hmm.
when you're depressed, when all you want to do is lay there,
Mm-hmm.
you know how much freaking strength that takes every
Mm-hmm.
day, and to keep your family going
Mm-hmm.
and do all, and you're fighting depression or you're fighting trauma or you're
Mm-hmm.
fighting, polar disorder,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Those people don't realize how strong they are
Right.
because they still have to get in the ring and compete every
Right.
day.
Right.
And there was a thing about, well, what do I do if like my work is just tearing me down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think you need to reevaluate your work,
Mm-hmm.
right? You need and are you doing something to help create that problem?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you get services to help that? Because you know how it is in the business world,
Mm-hmm.
no weakness,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
If you're like you're doing social media, you can't show any weakness in what you do.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I gotta be like, okay, I gotta be the most proficient mortgage officer out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna show any weakness,
Yeah.
but there are weaknesses,
Yeah. Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And sometimes when you show a weakness, all you do is say, God, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I made a mistake, right?
Yeah.
But I think if we were to find, and I'm still on this journey, find your true self.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what my sister said.
Yeah.
She goes, you've been doing all this other stuff for other people all your life.
Mm-hmm.
You need to find who your true self is.
That's good. That's
You
good.
know what I told her? How the hell do I do that? But it's working with my therapist. It's kind of finding out what's important to me.
Yeah.
When you take away all the hoopla.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a question that everybody should ask themselves is what do they love to do? We in the business world and stuff like that, we get asked all the time, what's the one thing that you could do, and never get paid for, but do it day in and day out. And, for me, it's what I'm doing, right? Like I truly love what I do.
I'm the same way.
And yeah. And so but at the same time, there's people out there that have just continued to do what it is that they're doing, even though they hate it, even though that it's like weighing on them, like super heavy. And they don't know how to move on. What do you tell somebody?
Well, I think sometimes they have to do what they have to do because of family circumstances, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's limited by their skills or whatever. But I think part of the problem with us, and I'm guilty of it, is that it's things.
Mm.
We're
Materialism.
we're chasing things.
Yeah.
Right. So Jalen Hurts, the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. He was a Sooner, Boomer Sooner.
Yeah, so you know him very well.
Yeah.
He's one of my all-time favorite players.
Yeah.
I love Jalen Hurts. He rents a house.
Yep.
He makes
millions.
millions. And he rents a house, and you know why? And he drives an older car, right? Because when he was growing up, he says, I'm going to have enough money that when I retire, I don't have to worry about anything. And he meant that if he went in the business world or the sports world. And you look at those guys and you're thinking, God, they could have a $5 million house, and everybody gets excited, right? And he's like, no, I got other things to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And back to, your belief system and what you believe, like for me, I know I can't take any of this crap with me when I leave.
Right.
I can't take a U-Haul with me. Like,
well, there's no parking up there anyway.
there's no, but I'm just saying, like we spend our entire lives storing up and like trying to build up and upgrade and have the best.
Because there's something missing.
Yeah.
And I went through that. There was a void in there that I didn't know how I could fill it, but there was a void. And there's always a void, right? Because if you're content with your life, then you don't have to have and I understand buying a house, bigger house, family, buy newer cars, but it's how much is in that house, right? Have you ever listened to The Minimalist? So these two guys are best friends. They're out of, I think, Ohio. They're raised up frickin' dirt poor. Well, they make it. Like this one guy said, he had all the designer suits. He had all the ties. He had all the shirts and the BMW and all this and all that. He was miserable. And what they found out is that he was filling a void that went back to his childhood of being poor. So he thought the more he bought, the more, and what he found out is that, and then I think he quit his job, just like, I'm probably telling the story wrong. But long story short, minimum. You go, he has his house, very few things, only what he needs. And what he says is that that's less clutter in his brain. And he talks about emotionally, decluttering emotionally and all that stuff. So I think that's a good lesson, but we're so afraid to get rid of our things. So when I moved this last time, I was just like, get rid of it. I don't got room for it. I don't want it. I haven't used it.
Right. And so how do you feel when you've gone through that experience? Because I think a lot of people want to do that. Like you said, they want, but they feel like they can't because maybe sentiment, maybe, whatever it is.
Take a picture.
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah. Take a picture. You know what, though? Memories are going to be there, right? Because it's not the object, it's the memory that object brings you. So a lot of times, write it down. Write down the memory. But you don't have to have the thing.
Right.
And I think people get tied up with things because they paid money for them too, right? But after a while, man, it's just like so much stuff in a house that.
Yeah.
And what are we passing on? Materialism, right? And corporate America does a great job of telling us what we need and how much we need.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's terrible.
But no, I think this has been good. Like we said, we're here to help people, and I hope it helps them.
Yeah.
And one thing I like about when we do this, we're all over the board.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not just one thing. I mean, there's so much out there to talk. I love it because people will tell me all the time, well, what if I talk about everything? And I'm like, you won't. Prove it. Because you won't.
You won't, no. Because we get on, because every time you and I start a show, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I always tell you, this is what I'm thinking, but it's going to go all over the place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like ricochet rabbit in my mouth. Here and then something here.
Yeah.
But no, and I just think, though, that, and we'll talk more about life and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And continue to go down this path, because to me, I think it's important. It helps me think. It helps me because it reminds me of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, dude, it's been an honor.
Thank you.
For sure.
Hey, if you want to contact me, Jimmy Lins at 719-437-5151. Again, I thank you for your time, Uriah.
Yeah.
Thanks for your
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And please, if you're suffering, get help.
Mm.
Okay. And don't be embarrassed about it. Be proud
Yeah.
that you're taking the step to do it, because a lot of people won't.
Mm.
And this is from a guy that didn't want to do it, but I eventually did.
Mm.
So have a great week.